Okay, we're going to tie what I refer to as the Cattitude, and I tie this on a tube. Definitely can also be tied on a shank as well. Really want that hook to be able to, to be located at the rear of the materials. A couple things that I'll mention. This fly really is just more of a platform than it is an actual specific pattern. I tie it in a wide range of colors and sizes. Really, this is a great fly for swinging. The idea behind this fly is it has a nice loose wing that really moves in the water. But I don't think this necessarily just is a steelhead fly. Definitely works very well for smallmouth, trout, with the trout spay approach. So tying this in more natural colors, for smallmouth and trout, olives and bait fish patterns, gray and white, are also very productive. So let's take a look at how we tie the Cattitude. Going to start, I'm going to tie this on a plastic tube. I'm going to start by inserting the tube into the mandrel. What I'm going to start with thread-wise, though, is just some GSP thread, and I'm going to be forming a dubbing loop here in the second step. And I like the strength of the extra strength. So that's what we're going to start with. We'll switch the thread halfway through here, though. The first step is just to add some cactus chenille. And really, this isn't as much a body, but it's more just to add a lift point for the wing. So really, all I want to do here is create like a little figure eight, just to create a ball that'll lift that wing up. I'll just tie that off. Neaten that up a bit. Okay, now we're going to form a loop. And wrap some Arctic Fox. So we're going to take some Arctic Fox. So purple is, and you saw that in this pattern. Purple's the underneath. You don't want this to be too long. I don't really want it to be any longer than the shank of than the tube. It's really just to kind of create some bulk and make that fly look thicker in the front and thinner in the back. So you don't want this to be about maybe half or 60% of the wing. So I'm going to trim some the Arctic Fox off. I want to get rid of a lot of that under fur. I'm going to set that aside for a second. Pull a little more off. Again, trim away that under fur, pull away that under fur. And probably just one more piece. I'm just setting this aside on the desk. And what I'm going to use is one of these clips. This is really helpful for creating a loop. I'm going to put that material in the clip. So it's all set to go into the loop. I can spread it out a little bit in there. I can spread it out a little bit. You really want to try to make it even. So I'm going to slip that into the loop. Release the clip. Now I can spread this out a little bit in here. Try to make it the right length and size that you want. That looks about right. I can trim that a little bit. And then we're going to spin the loop. And this creates like a brush, almost like hackle. And I just want to make sure I pull this out as best as possible too, so you don't, sometimes when you create that loop, kind of wraps the fibers down so that they're not extending back. So you can kind of just pull this out. You can use a little brush as well, but I kind of find pulling it and pulling it back works well. So this is going to do two things. It's going to create that bottom almost like a hackle to give this bulk, but it also wrapping the loop also creates some bulk for when we create the wing. This moves real well in the water. Do one more wrap. And you can see how that wants to stand up. There, that's a good step. I'll tie that off, and we're actually going to tie this off to a point where we will now go back to a thinner thread. Just go back to 8/0 thread. So the next step will be to build the wing. And again, we'll use some Arctic fox or fin raccoon. Start with the wing. Again, get some of that under fur out. And again, you can see how that's really wants to prop that wing up, and it'll keep it out of the way of the hook and it'll allow it to really move. Going to add some ostrich churl, about 5-6 pieces on each side. You want to keep everything on the top half of the fly. So anytime you're building this up, what we're adding right now is going to stay on the top half. So that the wing kind of can move freely at the top. When I'm adding these materials, I try to trim everything down even so that when I add it, I don't have to do any cutting. Let's just get rid of that. Then we're going to add some flash. I like to use just some holographic flash. Gets a lot of movement in the water. You know, with this pattern, usually black or black and copper is kind of a combination of each. Maybe about 4 or 5 strands. Just tie that down in the middle. And pull that back. Do that on each side. Then we're just going to add some saddle to the top. So I'm just going to put some black and purple. Okay, we add in the other saddle. Okay, and we're going to finish this off with a schlapen feather. Just wrap that forward. Most of the time with this pattern I add eyes to it on the bottom. Helps to orient the fly. Helps it to sink just a little bit. So I'll just add the eyes at the end. Again, with the plastic tubing you can kind of size it up. It's a nice advantage of using the plastic tubing. Those eyes adjusted there. These dumbbell eyes sit real well on the tube as well. Fit right in that space between the eyes. And that's the finished product right there. The Cattitude, like I says, you can use this and tie this in a variety of colors, sizes. You can trim it down for trout or smallmouth. You can see that wing just wants to move freely. just really a productive, or a very seductive swinging motion in the water. Trim the front so you don't have too much overhang of the plastic. And that's the finished product.